Kemi Badenoch has vowed to evict almost 230,000 non-EU foreign national households, whilst all foreigners will be barred from new tenancies.
Well, the move comes in a bid to free up housing for British people and reduce the nation's soaring welfare bill.
Andy Burnham, meanwhile, is promising to bring social housing into public ownership. So what is right for Britain?
Well, let's speak now to Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, Helen Whatley. Very good morning to you, Miss Whatley. Good to see you on GB Breakfast. Tell us a bit more about this plan then. And you've been accused of copying Reform UK, have you?
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me on your show this morning. So we know that British people feel that they are being taken for a ride and that billions of pounds of British taxpayers' money is being spent on welfare for foreign nationals, and that includes social housing. That's why we announced last year that we were going to end access to social housing for foreign nationals, and today we're going into this policy in more detail. At the moment, you've got over 1 million households on the waiting list for social housing, often waiting years and years. And we've got nearly 250,000 households led by foreign national living in social housing. So we're saying we will end that and free up those 230,000 households for British families on the waiting list to move into. And this will save up to £4 billion for the taxpayer as well.
OK, so, it's a catchy headline, but lots of questions about how exactly you'll boot out this many people from these homes. Critics, including the homelessness charity Shelter, saying this is only going to make homelessness worse in Britain. Is that something you're worried about?
Well, what we're saying is that foreign nationals, if they're choosing to live in the UK, should be contributing to the UK economy. They shouldn't be claiming benefits, and they shouldn't be living in social housing, which is limited. There's a limited supply of social housing, and that should be there, like the welfare system, as a safety net for British citizens. So what we're saying for foreign nationals who are currently living in social housing is instead you should do what, to be clear, the majority of the population of the UK do, which is find your own accommodation and pay your own way.
This is a really eye-catching policy, isn't it? And indeed, it will catch many people's eyes this morning. But do you think, honestly, that people are going to trust you to tackle this issue and to take it seriously? Because when we listen to our viewers, and so many of them get in touch, including this morning, saying when they think of the Tories, they think of the opening up of migrant hotels, they think about the Boris wave, they think about all of those broken promises. The trust is broken, isn't it? And you can see that in the polls. You can see Kemi Badenoch personally riding well in the polls. I think she is still the most popular political leader in this country. But the Tories are lagging still behind in the polls. There is this trust issue that remains. How are you going to get that trust back with the British people, especially when it comes to this issue?
Look, we've been upfront, and Kemi Badenoch herself as a leader has been upfront about things that were made mistakes by previous Conservative leaders. Under Kemi Badenoch, she set very clear principles, and we're being very clear about the approach that we would take, for instance, to migration, to immigration. We've said, amongst other things, that we would leave the European Convention on Human Rights, the ECHR, so we don't get that judicial activism getting in the way of us tackling migration issues and making sure that we have control over our borders. And then for me, as Shadow Secretary of State for Welfare in Kemi Badenoch's Shadow Cabinet, being very clear about the approach that we will take on welfare, saying that our welfare system is there as a safety net for British citizens, and we will not be giving benefits to foreign nationals. And we're not just suddenly announcing this now. We originally set out some of these policies back last year. As I said at the time at the party conference, we identified £23 billion of savings from welfare. That included £7 billion from stopping welfare payments to foreign nationals and saying we're stopping social housing for foreign nationals. We are really thinking through these policies. We know that the British public knows that things need to change, and they want to know that we're putting them first.
OK, well, let's talk about the thought process behind